Hello dearies, this is Sela from Each Page, and welcome to episode number 3 of the podcast. This will be dedicated to City of Bones, and I'll be fangirling about this Shadowhunters book that made me read copy after copy of this series. City of Bones is book 1 in the Mortal Instruments series, or saga if you prefer. It took me a while to actually finish this book. It was recommended by a friend. I never heard of it before. This was ages ago. And the funny thing is that to this day, I'm a bigger fan of this series than they are. So, welcome to the world of City of Bones, where you meet a normal red-haired girl of 16 named Clary Frey. And then you go into the totally even greater place of the Shadowhunters, a world that exists within your own. And spoiler alert, Clary goes there because she is one of them. She's a Shadowhunter as well, but she had her memories altered by the High Warlock of Brooklyn. Now, if you ask me to tell you about everything that happens in the book, I can't, because I don't remember all of it, just the main parts. And it was a long time ago since I read the book. It took me actually a couple of rereading of the first 3 chapters of the book, and I would pick it up and leave it and back again. But after I finished it, the first book, the City of Bones, it was in full steam ahead with the rest of the series. And that's the great thing about these books. But I'm not gonna go into it right now. I'm gonna stay in City of Bones because otherwise I'm gonna be here for an hour talking about all of the books. So back to Clary. She meets all the Shadowhunters that live in the New York Institute. That's how they call their bases, their home in each part of the country. Not just the US, but also in Europe and Asia, everywhere they have an institute where Shadowhunters live. And they do have homes outside of it, but mostly they stay there in the institute. And from there they get their assignments and whatever, because the Shadowhunters, of course, the name is a giveaway. They hunt the shadows, the evil that hides there. So the first Shadowhunter that you meet is Jace Lywood, or Jace Wayland, or the guy who doesn't know what last name to use for the first 3 books. And I think over more than the first 3 books. Anyway, he of course is the one to introduce Clary to the whole what happens in the shadows, and that mundane are just, not aware of the werewolf and vampires and demons and everything. And there are people who are constantly saving them from all this evil. And since this is the first book, City of Bones, it pretty much go all of this is new, this is what happens. Meet all these people, meet Alec Lywood, meet Izzy Lywood, all the Lywoods. And of course, Magnus Maine, the High Warlock of Brooklyn. That's not spoiler, is it? I think that pretty much in every description of the book. Yeah, there are other things happening in the Shadowhunter world. They get into so much trouble over every little thing, especially because Clary doesn't know anything, and she's dragging along her friend Simon, who could be more, let's say, human, because they are Nephilim, and that is children of the angel, or they owe their powers to the angel because they're not children from it, actually. They get into all this trouble with vampires and demons and everything, and the book goes all over it. And apart from that, Clary trying to recover her memories because her mother Jocelyn didn't want her to know about the shadow war, so that was why she had her memories altered all her life. As I said before, after some people will of course love it since the first line. I do now, but back then it was difficult to start reading the book, and I lie about that. But after, it just became one of my favorites. The whole series in the book, because there are so many in it, all of it is just too much information, and you want to know all the families, and you want to know all the characters and how they would do anything. Actually, I really love how easily you were sucked into the book, and how did you manage to relate to some of the characters. Even though Clary was not my favorite all the time, as the series evolved and later on she did become my favorite, but Izzy is always the badass chick that you will want to see in a book and want her to be the main female character. But just let's say one of the main characters, but not Clary has the title. But yeah, I always recommend now the Mortal Instruments because I find them fascinating and I love these books. I'm gonna stop here because I think I might start mixing up on the other ones, City of Fallen Angels and City of Lost Souls and all the other cities in the first 6 books of this series. So I'll leave it to here and continue when I go back to book 2 and the Mortal Instruments. So that's it for this one. I hope you enjoyed this little book chat about City of Bones, and be on the lookout for City of Ashes book 2 in the Mortal Instrument series. As usual, don't forget that you can read the original book review on my blog hpay.org, even though I have all the books in one post, so you might see all of it in there and not just City of Bones. Thank you, dearies, for coming back for more of the podcast, and don't forget to subscribe, like, and share.